Right. So you good? Everything good?
Yeah, all good.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was going to talk about the thorny problem of making things rhyme, lyric-wise, today, and have some examples and stuff. Now, to be honest, this is such a vast subject because you could obviously make things rhyme in all sorts of ways, not just having, a rhyming couplet and then another rhyming couplet. You could have a line and another line, then, line 3 rhymes with line 1 and line 4 and so on. And when I've done stuff like, particularly with Blues Camp, which you've both obviously experienced, why I've always steered away from rhyming is you end up going down the sort of logical rabbit hole. All right, where somebody's going like dum-de-dum-de da, and then they go through all the da words to come up with, and it's just rubbish doing that, because that tends not to be the way that people do things. They'll have an idea and then they'll work something, and it might appear over a period of time before they then look at making something rhyme, and tidying things up. So what I thought the best way of doing this is to have some examples and some techniques that, you could use. And you might, again, like we've done with the previous couple of things, you might have some of your own examples that you could sort of throw into the mix. All right. So I think the first thing that might be nice is, who, from your experiences, would you say has, what lyric could you sort of cite off the top of your head that you think that's great and it rhymes? That's a bit of an awkward question, because it's one of these that you might go, hang on a minute, I can't think of one.
The one that jumps, I don't know why it jumps to my mind, is Common People by Pulp. Just the line, she came from Greece, she had a thirst for knowledge, she studied sculpture at St. Martin's College.
Yeah, exactly. No, that is brilliant, because if you think about that line, what was the line that he got, would you assume that he got first?
Well, I mean, I suppose you assume it's in order, but
no, I don't think so.
Probably not. No,
it would be St. Martin's College. He wanted. I think that's what he that was where everyone was going to, St. Martin's College, and he wanted that in there somewhere. Exactly. So that's one of the things I think is an important. I've said this before about rhymes. If you get something that's the great line, don't create the rhyming couplet to follow, flip it around, because it generally is better, because it's not so obvious. And of course, if St. Martin's College wasn't a college that people went to study art, then I would have said, well, if you said Blackfriars College, I don't know, I don't even think that exists, right? Then I would have said the thirst for knowledge would have been the first one. But because St. Martin's College it was famous for art and all the rest of it, I think that's, and it's one of those places, wasn't it? Back in the day. So you see what I'm getting at?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing is to get the great line. So that's where, as I said before, like cut up and stuff like that works really well, or an idea. And I know this sounds really obvious, but this is not obvious really at the end of the day. You need an idea for a song. And that could arrive because you've done stuff and it's stimulated an idea, right? And I've often said this about, again, go back to the thing, cut up, or any lateral thinking idea. you come up with some crazy things, and in the back of your mind, there's some sort of narrative that starts to, there's a thread that you start to see. This song is about so-and-so, and then suddenly you get the picture and you get the feeling, and it generates the idea what type of chords, what, you know, not necessarily I'm going to play an A chord, but it's more a case of this is a rock song in the style of, you know, AC/DC or Blink 182 or something like that. It gives you an idea, a feeling, a central thing. And you have to have that, I think, because otherwise there's nothing steering the song. So I'll give you a good example of something with a really great narrative, but the lyrics don't really make any sense. And I would say Bohemian Rhapsody. Right? Because it's sort of an opera. And I mean, opera is always about somebody dying, but they're singing about opening the window before they die type of thing. You know what I mean? It's just sort of crazy stuff. But it's not really about, nobody's going to sing, you know, whatever it is, an oratorio as they're dying, are they? I mean, it's nonsense. But it's part of all the emotion and everything. And, you know, the sort of artistic nonsense, if you like, but it's nothing to do with the logic. That's what I keep going back. You've got to forget about all of that and then go, okay, this is the feeling of the song, this is what's driving it on, and that will help a lot to you finding ideas, right? Okay, right. So that's I love that idea, the pulp thing. That's great. Have you got any, Duncan? Have you got anything that springs to mind? Don't worry if you haven't. You might. No, something might spring to mind. In
no. I'm sure there'll be a couple. Oh, there's some AC/DC ones. You mentioned AC/DC. There are some AC/DC ones. It's in touch too much. I can't remember the line.
I mean, even that's great, isn't it? Touch too much. I mean, that's such a killer line.
It is. Yeah.
I think when they were coming up with the lyrics, they must just have had a bit of they must have been hilarious.
Well,
so much sexual innuendo in this stuff.
I mean, you know, the body of Venus with arms is such a great line.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So so what I'll do, what's the easiest way for me to do this? I've got some lyrics that I thought would be good to have a look at. Okay, here's one.
Oh, there you go. This is really good. It's that chorus. Too much for my body, too much for my brain. This damn woman's going to drive me insane.
Yeah. And, you know, you think it's not great poetry, but it really is cool.
It is. It is smart. It really is. Yeah.
It is very smart. Their lyrics are great. Right. So, shall I pop this in the chat? Is this going to be easy? Yeah, maybe. I'll just do this for a moment. So, where are we? Where's the chat? There we go. Okay, so this is Wrapped Around Your Finger by the Police. So this it's really the first bit. I think it's really, really, really interesting. So he's got here the end of line 2. Okay, so you consider me the young apprentice caught between the Scylla and Charybdis. Okay, hypnotized by you if I should linger, staring at the ring around your finger. Now, this is clever stuff, because that's obviously a reference to some sort of Greek legend. And of course, I think one of them, it's obviously some goddess that's been turned into a rock, I think it is, and then another one is a whirlpool. So in other words, it's between a rock and a hard place in our thing. But they are actually some sort of coastline in Greece that you wanted to avoid at all costs. Because if the rocks didn't get you, the tides got you. All right. So The Apprentice and Corybus is the rhyming couplet. And again, what came first? If you thought you consider me the young apprentice, you're not going to come out. That's not going to be a rhyming couplet, is it?
No.
No, it's not. So,
no.
All right. But what I also think is very clever about this, and he does this a lot, of course, is he writes as a metaphor, which is not really to do with the rhyming. It's just to do with this central image of what he's doing. So he's writing about a love affair, or a love affair with an older woman, who's obviously married, but he's also writing about it as if she's a magician, right? Like the Sorcerer's Apprentice, right? Yeah. So she's got the magic ring, right? And I've only come here seeking knowledge, things they would not teach me of in college, which I think is awesome. Yeah.
Slacy Deachy long.
Yeah, absolutely. It's brilliant, isn't it? All right, so, and then it's all about being wrapped, I'll be wrapped around your finger. And then he manages to get Mephistopheles into it. So it's really cool. All right, so I don't know how much lyric writing you've been doing of late. Been doing much? I think, Kim, you've just been playing guitar lines, haven't you, for other people's?
A little bit. I've probably I've written one recently. I haven't put it on the Google Drive, but I did have a go at some stuff after last month's session of this. I mean, it was nothing that, because that was sort of cut up from some poetry and stuff that I had in the house.
Yeah.
But probably managed to carve it into a song, but probably nothing that I really thought, oh, I really like that particularly. But I suppose we cut up. It depends on what your source material is a bit as well.
Oh, gotcha. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you did the earlier ones when I said, well, one of the best books to use is either a hymn book or the Bible, because the references are so out there that you just go like, you would never thought of them.
Yeah, you'd never come up with it. Yeah.
But they're also deeply ingrained in the English language, because obviously the King James Bible is one of the sort of fundamental texts or references that the English language has used for such a long time. So it's an incredibly potent source material. That's awful to say that, isn't it? But I'm sure King James wouldn't have minded. But anyway, perhaps he would have minded, but I don't know. So, as you say, source material is really important. So, when you're reading stuff, when you get into lyric writing a lot, and you're just reading a book or you're reading a newspaper, you just go, oh my God, I've got to write that. That's so good. And you'll find yourself writing ideas down, and collecting, because that's the thing, the more you do of this, the better you become at it. And in the end, you don't actually even need to do cut up, because you can just pluck random phrases out of the air.
Right.
But as I say, it is a process. So just keep doing it, basically. Right. So that's good. Let's have another reference. I'm going to use one of mine. And I'll tell you a little bit about how I wrote this one. That's weird. This is called Everyone is a Fool. There's a little story to this. Oh, strange. It doesn't want to. I'm just going to do something. Oh, that's working. I can't get it to copy and paste for some reason. Why does it want to do that? Okay. Try again. No, it's not doing it. Okay. I'm going to have to send this as an email. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Sorry. Oh, there's a load of stuff. I'm going to try something else. For some reason, I had to copy it onto another document and then copy and paste it again. So this one's called Everyone is a Fool. Okay, so I didn't sit down and plan the rhyming structure of this. This just developed. I wrote this song on the same day as I wrote another song that was like, I thought were like really good on the same day. Now, this doesn't happen very often, but it just happened this time. So, so it starts off, Everyone loves a fool. There's the title. So it starts, my words are so confused, caught in the gate while leaving you. I see you laughing through your window pane as I walk down Autumn Road again. So obviously I was trying to reference some sort of jazz song because there's obviously autumn leaves. All right, which is sort of interesting because it's like I'm leaving. So I'm punning on the idea of a famous jazz song. You used to laugh at me, but that left me with such misery. So, so I've changed the rhyming scheme here. So I'm actually rhyming each line. All right. So you can see, you can just sort of do what you want, really, as long as it seems to. Oh, then this next part, my hand lives a life of its own. That's like a bridge section because this is written like as a jazz number with an AA, BA type feel, right? Oh yeah, and then we're back to this idea of basically making things rhyme again. Yeah. So at the beginning I didn't, and then by the end of it I'm just doing rhyming couplets. But the driver for that was actually like a video, because I was doing this when I was with the Geoffrey Moore project. So the idea was of the woman coming into the, the jazz club, and the guitarist and, the two of the musicians see her come in. And at that moment, they both realize that they've both been seeing this woman, but they didn't realize that they'd both been seeing that woman. But in that moment, they realize that's what's going on. So that was the idea behind like a visual image. And then really the song sort of wrote itself from that point of view. And then I turned things around on their heads that, being the life and soul of the party, and everybody thinks you're funny, apart from, the woman just thinks you're a bit of an idiot. Right. So your prime card that you would play is not the type of thing that would would work with the topic like that. All right, that makes sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
So with that, as I say, I probably sat there and it just came out this time. Doesn't always do that, I can assure you. Sometimes you have to craft something over a period of time. Cool. Right, should we have another sting number? Now, these are just things that come to mind, but I could have easily just used Leonard Cohen. Right, let's do this one. Let's see if this is going to. No, this is weird. I've never seen you do this before. Let's try and copy. Paste. No, it's not doing it. Huh. I can't get this. It just doesn't want to always copy and paste. Weird. Right. Plan B. Technology, don't you love it?
It's great, isn't it?
No, it's not doing it at all. So, right, okay. So, Duncan, I've got yours. Kim, I don't know if I've got yours email.
Oh, yes, it's just KIMCARRIM.
Oh, sorry, KIMCA
CARRIM at hotmail. M for mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, at hotmail.com.
Yeah. Okay. I just put. Okay, so you should get this as an email. So this is Every Breath You Take.
Yep.
So this one, there's a couple of interesting things with this, I think. You've got the every. I don't know if we're in line 2, he says, and every move you make. Oh, he does, actually. Oh, perhaps he does. I've never sung it like that. Every breath you take, every move you make, every bond you break, every step you take, I'll be watching you. Every single day and every word you say, every game you play, every night you stay, I'll be watching you. Right, it's quite interesting because apparently he does the every move. All right, okay. All right. So, knowing what we've done so far, what do you think he's done here? What do you think his sort of route in would have been? Because there's a lot of rhyming, isn't there?
There is a lot of rhyming.
No, it's quite possible he just sat there and just made everything rhyme.
It all comes back to, I'll be watching you.
Which sounds a bit creepy, actually.
It does, doesn't it? I'll be stalking you.
Yeah.
Well,
in a way, he is actually sort of pointing to the fact that he may be actually not well. Because a lot of his stuff does actually, a lot of the police stuff does hinge on somebody not being well.
Yeah, the one that sticks in my head is Can't Stand Losing You.
Don't stand so close to me.
That's really dark.
That is really dark, you know. the sort of Lolita type
Yeah.
thing, you know.
You don't care, so I won't cry, and you'll be sorry when I'm dead.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
the one in my head.
yeah. But they're, you know, so lonely.
Yeah.
Message in the Bottle is about depression, right?
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's one of the things that makes the police stuff so potent, I think. What do you reckon? It's funny actually, because I liked a lot of the early police stuff and Sting generally, but I sort of don't really listen to. I don't listen to Sting hardly at all now. Not that it's just one of those things. I think back in the day, it was somebody that, because I was playing in a reggae rock sort of band. It was funny actually, because I've just posted up on my YouTube channel the last concert that we did that was recorded just in a pub, but the recording was really good. And it was like 1985 was this last gig. And they were an important reference point in order to sort of go, don't copy them, but you could do something like this. You know, you could take an idea and insert another style of music in, and it could still have a reggae content in it, right? But don't sound like the Police, because that was the obvious pitfall, really.
Yes.
So they were all often a reference point of, you know, don't go as far as what they're doing here. So yeah. So from that point of view, they're quite interesting. Okay, so any other bits you would sort of pick out from there? Oh, the fact is also that they've got that that recurring. Sorry, I've got to find the email. There's a sort of that last line. I'll be watching you, as you say. Apart from it being a bit creepy, it's at the end of every.
Underlines everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it yeah, as I said, it underlines everything, but it builds up to this horrible 4 letters. I'll be watching you.
Yeah, I know. It's very strange, but very interesting song.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Kim?
Yeah. No. So what I was just sort of looking at is sort of not quite, but so there, every time the line is about the other person, there's everything always. You know, every time the singer's talking about the other person, it's always everything about them. But then the lines about themselves is always I this, I that. You know, I dream at night, I look around, I feel cold.
Yeah.
And then it's everything about you.
Well, there's a couple of songs. It's interesting actually, because there's a lot of other references of other songs here, because there's I think a song called All About You or something like that as well. But The Bed's Too Big Without You is a great song. I think it's just an incredibly brilliant idea about talking about, you know, the fact somebody's left. But he never really, he just sort of says because there's something missing.
Yeah.
You know, so I think, as you say, there's a lot of stuff there that's really good. And also, you know, they did a song called Demolition Man, which actually Grace Jones did, which I really like because it's sort of manic.
It is.
And it's got a great bass song on it as well. But again, that's like somebody who's it says I'm a walking disaster. I'm the Demolition Man. Yeah, it's great, brilliant stuff. Okay, so you could have something that underpins the lyric, repeat it. Okay. So, let's see. What I haven't done is, in fact, it might be a good idea to have a listen to something, because as we're recording it, it'll drive everybody mad. They have to sit through 4 minutes of us just. But it might be an interesting thing to have a listen to a song by somebody and see how much the lyrics delivery is important. Because obviously some really great songs have just got terrible lyrics. You know, if you wrote them down and said, this is going to be a monster hit, people would go like, really?
Yeah.
Now, Wild Thing's a good example, I think.
Yeah.
You know, or even We Will Rock You. And, you know, on paper, it's nothing, is it really? Okay, Leonard Cohen. See if you can, we'll find a Leonard Cohen song. I would suggest, I mean, they're all good, but either, let me have it, sister friend. This is quite humorous. I think it's got Everybody Knows.
Okay.
Everybody knows. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So I might just pause this. You have to tell me to. Okay, I'm just going to pause. Darkly witty. Lots of people you want to meet without your clothes.
Yeah, and
Everybody knows.
the plague is coming.
So yeah, about the dice being loaded and very clever stuff. But again, there's that sort of repeated refrain, isn't there?
Yeah,
it runs right way through it.
Yeah,
and all of his songs are unbelievably witty, and slightly disturbing. Great stuff. So I would suggest that and the rhyming dictionary. Now, obviously there's loads of stuff online, but I could never get on with those. But there's certain words that really are easy to rhyme. Lots of possibilities, and others which of course are really difficult. So the other thing that's quite good is a thesaurus. That if you've got something that you wanted to say in particular, and you've got a word that you're not, there aren't many options about how you're going to find a rhyme for it, then obviously using a thesaurus can give you another set of possibilities. So famously, Ian Dury used to use a rhyming dictionary. So Hit Me With the Rhythm Stick is a good example. Apparently we use the rhyming dictionary for that. But really good. So if you haven't got one, you should be able to pick these up secondhand now. Because this one's ancient. I got 1988.
Okay.
Somebody got that for me. Cool. Right. So I was going to show you the lyric of another one of my songs. Let's see how we do again. Let's see if this will do it. I might have to send another email.
So I've just got someone at the door, but I'll be back in 1 second.
Yeah, okay.
Good opportunity for me to grab a charger as well.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah.
Yep.
Leonard Cohen obviously famously said that sometimes songs can take years to write. But he's really a poet. I think a lot of lyricists wouldn't call themselves poet. I grabbed a couple of poetry books. What happens is there's not an awful lot of rhyming couplets. So, well, certainly not in the poetry books I've got. So a couple of little techniques that you can do is to start with a poem and take the rhyming couplets and rewrite the lines if you're really not good at that type of thing. And if you use the original line to give you the feel of how the line goes, and then you could start with some gobbledygook that ends with the rhyming couplets. That's quite a good way of coming up with ideas. Doesn't always work, like all these things, you know. But instead of you sitting there being stuck, sometimes it gives you a chance to sort of kickstart an idea. So, I mean, if we just have a going back to the Everyone I Was a Fool, you could go, so me, misery, can, man, right? So me, sometimes when people look at me, you know, something about misery, and to see me in misery or something like that. You know, you could start messing around, or then you could swap the lines around. You could have the misery followed by the me.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. Or going back to the maybe the pulp one that you came up with earlier might not be so. Well, going back to the other Sting one, college and knowledge. Right.
Yeah.
So you could rewrite those, and you could start with college and then do knowledge, because it was the other way around, you know. Or I was seeking knowledge. I think something about college, you know. All right. So you could do that with lots of different songs, preferably ones that you don't particularly like, which is good because you won't trip yourself into writing the same line again. Because if you really like a lyric, it's difficult to change it. So if you think of Wild Thing, You Make My Heart Sing, I mean, you've got to be able to do something better than that, really.
Yeah.
You know, what is this thing? What is this thing? You know, that makes my heart sing. I don't know. Whatever, you know. So yeah, probably best to start with a lyric that you don't like so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so I sent the lyrics for a song called Fever of Love. So there's lots of sort of this is a bit like the sort of Sting thing. There's a lot of references to mythical and sort of biblical stuff in this. But again, it's referenced as a love song, but from the point of view of being overwhelmed by it. Okay. So if you look at the rhyme, could and should belong Babylon.
Sorry, where's this?
I've sent it as an email.
Oh, right. Oh, hang on.
I've just sent it. Have you got it there?
So much have to refresh.
I've got it.
Yeah. Now there's quite a few stanzas and some of them repeat themselves, and I'll explain what's going on there. So I've recorded this song. Okay, you both got it?
Yep.
Yeah, I've got it now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm referencing Babylon, either as a place or as in the biblical reference to Babylon. And it's spelled, have you noticed, not
Yes.
like we spell
Y and A.
Yeah. So I'm sort of drawing upon the mythical stuff. And again, so you love me like no one could. I loved her more than I should. She made me feel like I belong. I asked her name. She said Babylon. So then I go into this. So the next part is the chorus: "Protect me, Lord, O holy dove, preserve my soul from the fever of love." So again, I'm using a sort of biblical references. And then I pondered all the things you said. I spoke of love. You showed me red. So that it, this is a reference to the red lady. You beckoned me to come along. I asked you where. You said Babylon. So I'm playing with. The last line is not quite the same. So I'm playing with that, which I think is quite powerful actually doing. So your magic words beguiled my mind, lost in sounds I couldn't find. With your dream I go on the path to Babylon. Right, so the last verse that's here, before the dots, I didn't record this. That's not on the recording. And then you see underneath that, reworkings of the verses, all right, which I didn't use. So actually one of those is actually quite powerful. This your magic words. So that's a part that I use somewhere. Lost in sounds. For love has eaten and left me dead. A mystery in what you said. But I didn't use that. There's actually quite an interesting line. So there's several things there. I'm doing that thing of copying the last line of the verse each time and then altering it slightly, which I think is really quite powerful to do, because it's not just a repeat. And then there's all the sort of, similar to that Wraps Around Your Finger lyric by Sting, where he's referencing something else. And he does it a few times, actually, more in the solo albums. So there's a song called, it's a song from Soul Cages. I can't remember what it's called. Something about Jerusalem, which is really clever. So it references like empires falling into the sand, this sort of, what's the poem? And Amodius, is it Amodius? Look upon my works, people. And of course, all these cities have fallen into dust. So there we go. There's a few things there. So I think the main thing about rhyming is don't try to rhyme at the beginning. Get the ideas down. Once you've got the feeling of the song, what the narrative is, then you sort of have to you have to live with the song for a bit. Keep the ideas there and then play around with them. And then see if you can maybe take a line that you really like and then get a rhyming couplet if you're going to do that. And remember what I said, it's probably best to put the line that you've used to rhyme first, and keep the one that created the idea of the rhyming couplet second.
Yeah.
Because it's probably less likely
Yeah.
It's not so obvious. Not in all cases, but generally. All right. It certainly seems to be the thing that people like Sting do. And I would say Leonard Cohen as well. It's those sort of killer lines tend to be the rhyming couplet. But the other thing is getting that central thing, that narrative. If you know what the song's about, you know, it's like having your elevator pitch for the song. This song is about, and you can encapsulate that. If you know what it is, or you've got the picture of, you know, if you were going to do the video, you know what the video is going to be. I did an interview with a Greek singer called Leah Hyde, and her videos are brilliant. They really are brilliant. And when I was talking to her about how they get the ideas for things, you know, is it these people come in and come out with a great, you know, she said, no, they're my ideas. She said, I'm a nightmare to work for. She said, because I know exactly what I want. And I think that's the thing. If you think about it, she's written the song, she's recorded the song, and sort of taken charge of the engineering and all the rest of it, you know, the production of the song. Yeah. And then the video, she's got control of that as well. So she knows what the song's about.
The video's in her name, if I went searching for them.
Sorry, Leah.
Yeah, if I went searching for her name on YouTube.
Yeah, it's Leah. So Lia and then Hyde, Hide. And there's let's see if I can just find a couple of the tracks so that you can. Right, there was one that's won an award called Proposal, and then one called Dinner. Okay, you've got to remember she's Greek, but I mean she speaks fluent English. A lot of the things, but amazing English. And she sings in English. It's quite dark, her stuff, and I might say it's an acquired taste. I think it's got this sort of jazzy edge, which makes it a little bit. It's not necessarily so instantaneous, you know what I mean? It's not like it's a pop song. She sort of calls it dark pop.
Okay.
I mean, she's an amazing musician, really good piano player as well. But her musical ideas are great. So Dinner is one that's won an award, I think. It's had 30,000 views in 2 months, so it's not bad going. What's the other one? There's a few others, but I can't start with that anyway. But there's loads of covers where she's done things like Massive Attack stuff, you know, Teardrop. All right.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Cool. I'll just turn that off for the moment.